Samsung has expanded its ultra-large TV lineup with a new 98-inch model. The four of us on this call, even Mitchell knows this, these are going to be placed in master bedrooms.
It's going above the fireplace. Come on. Number one location.
Over the 36-inch fireplace. It's going to be mantle, bezel, picture, bezel,
ceiling. And you know, the sales spiel should be that you don't know what immersive is like until you watch tennis on this TV from 5 feet away. Because you're going to go,
don't tell me.
This is immersive. This is immersive. I feel like I'm there.
No, but I can watch tennis like this. I'm going to love it.
I'm so sorry. I would love to be of more help, but I got to get back to watching women's tennis.
On this episode of ResiWeek, we talk AVPro Edge plus AudioControl, Samsung's 98-inch LED, and Yale approach. All this and more on this episode of ResiWeek. This is ResiWeek, episode 428, Meet in the Middle. Welcome to this episode of ResiWeek. This is your weekly roundup of all the latest news and stories for the residential AV industry. I'm your host, Matthew Scott for AVNation.tv, and this week I'm pleased to be joined by three of my good friends. First, we have Katye McGregor-Bennett. She's the president of Canby Communications. How you doing, Katye?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back. I don't know why you keep making the call, but I appreciate it.
I could take credit for it, but it's never me. It's my awesome producer, Mitchell.
Yes. Well, thanks to him as well. Thanks for having me back, boys.
Then we have Joe Whitaker. He's the vice president of business development over at Origin Acoustics. How you doing, Joe?
I am doing well. Someday you'll remember my job title change. So I am vice president of commercial. And unlike Katye, I'm the fungus that ResiWeek can't get rid of. I just keep coming back, like, you know. I'm glad to be back on. You just can't get rid of me.
We just need to change the actual room so you don't know where we are.
Yes.
And we'd be fine. All right. Last but certainly not least is my favorite man from Florida, Seth Johnson. He's the software development manager from Blackwire Design. How you doing, sir?
Doing great. I was going to say, we've got the dream team back together, but after those two, I don't know what to say.
It has been.
We do have the dream team. This is a great team.
It's actually been a while since it's been all three of us together. It has been a while.
It's been a minute. All right, let's kick this off. We're not going to dig too deep into it. This comes from CEDIA in a press announcement just the other day. They've appointed Paul Dolenc and Mitchell Klein, a good friend of the show, to the executive leadership team. Paul is taking over as VP of Education and Mitch as the Vice President of Business Development in a couple of days. So they'll join the 8-person executive leadership team reporting to CEO Daryl Friedman. So congratulations to both of them, but specifically to my friend Mitch. Really excited for what you're going to do there, my friend. All right. Because I'm not going to let either of any.
Congratulations, Mitch. It's good to have a founder back on the team. Yay.
It is going to be nice to have some historical knowledge there.
Yeah.
That'll be great. All right. Let's kick this off with a story that comes to us from CEPro. AVPro Edge, their investment into AudioControl aims to improve manufacturing and their processes. Not processes, their processes. You're welcome. Essentially, they've been under control of AVPro for a little bit over 6 months, and they are capitalizing on having that new parent company. Katye, let me start with you on this. Is this the type of thing that allows? I'm going to use the term, and I don't mean it in a derogatory way, but that allows smaller manufacturers like AudioControl to compete on a major stage.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you probably could have charted that this press release would be announced at some point. I mean, of course, they were acquired, and so there's going to be some funding provided, and there should be some benefit, which isn't to say anything derogatory about the news, but it's like this is absolutely expected. And I think one of the things that I see that comes to mind is just the back order. The back order timeline has gone to like next to nothing, 6 to 8 weeks previously from what Chris Kane says to same day shipping. I mean, that's huge. And ultimately, I think that's the story, and what the integration community needs to know is because of the cash influx and the investment. Now the products are not only more robust, but they're available more rapidly. Mm-hmm. And a lot of integrators are relying on kind of just in time. So I think it's huge.
That's fantastic. Joe, from the manufacturer mindset, obviously there can be a huge benefit to being a small company, right? You can be a little bit more nimble, you can be a little bit more creative. The downside of being a small company is you typically have fiscal restrictions. You might have some R&D restrictions. The access to not only working capital, but also expertise occasionally can be limited. Your company has done a ton of acquisitions and partnerships the last little bit. Is that what drives I don't want to say the industry, but the smaller manufacturers forward? Do most smaller manufacturers require some form of partnership or evolution of ownership to maintain a competitive advantage?
Everybody always wants something, right? Like you have a goal, and on the smaller side, you know, everybody who's watching this knows me, know that I've been an audio control fan forever. Last award I got for a theater was powered by audio control. Origin Acoustics has always been huge audio control fans, supporters, and of course we all love Mr. Kane. As companies grow, there becomes this little time, right? There's a failure every once in a while. And for audio control, obviously, Katye already pointed out, it was stocking availability, right? That time, because these were being basically custom one at a time built. That was something they sorely needed, more than money, right? Audio control had already gotten a ton of money because they sold the car audio division, which was actually worth a lot more. So that was not their problem. Now, streamlining process, streamlining engineers, streamlining R&D, that typically comes from somebody a little bigger. I mean, we've done it with, Ambisonic. We're doing it with Lighting Leaf. There's always that one thing you need to get to the next level, and that's what Audio Control needed. AVPro was small at one time. They strive to become what they are because proven technology, breaking the rules in that technology. And then also their process is like amazing. I've always been one of their fans before they even changed their name. So that made that a match made in heaven for them, right? You've got them with their great process, what they do, and then every company to grow has to get into another niche, right? They gotta find something outside of their comfort zone. They've always been connectors and parts and video side stuff and HDMI and matrix and all of that. What's their next thing they can get into? They're not going to get into lighting. Oh, audio works, right? There's eARC and stuff like that. So talk about a match made in heaven. And then the fact that both companies, everybody that was a distributor of audio control, they actually called all of us and said, look, there are going to be no changes to what you do until after the year. We're trying to figure this out. We're trying to streamline things. Like this was one of those ones, unlike this last acquisition that just happened. They were very transparent with everything through the whole thing. I congratulations to both. And I am really happy that I'm going to see Audio Control get the success that they really do deserve.
So I was legit running a timer to see how long it would take to mention that. And I
stole it
5 minutes into the show. All right, Seth.
I did beat the spread on that one. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. My question was, before Joe brought it up, was going to kind of tag into this. Audio Control has always been a good brand, right? They've always been highly respected in the industry. But I think there is always a little bit of pushback on the smaller companies, especially at a receiver level, right? Because you either have people who are fully bought in because they love that niche, or then you have the other part of the audience that looks at it and goes, I might get a whole lot better support or reliability or whatever from a bigger company. When you see acquisitions such as this, and then you couple that against the news that came out last week with a different one, what causes you to either be excited about an acquisition or cautious?
I mean, I guess in this case, both AudioControl and AVPro have excellent reputations in the industry, right? I mean, it's hard to find anyone who talks bad about these brands, and I'd have to question anybody who did, because they probably either haven't used them or they just looked and said, "Oh, that's too expensive. I'm not going to put that on my project." And okay, fine. But I haven't run across very many professionals in the industry that, when they looked into the product or they actually used the product, they had anything bad to say about the product or the company, for that matter. Mm-hmm. And I think in this case, that's what's really lines up the planets for these two companies, right? There's a great reputation that both of these companies have, and we've been distributors of both AudioControl and AVPro as well, and like, when this went down, it's like, okay, that makes sense. It's complete. Like, there's two, what they call what the synergies word comes up. It's like, well, there's actually a really good relationship between these companies that like, you can sell both products on the brand, the quality, and the performance. And I don't think anyone has. If there is something out there, I don't know about it. I mean, any problem I've ever had with I haven't ever bought an AudioControl, I'm going to admit it, but any problem I've ever had with any AVPro product, they've stood behind it, and I mean, instantly done what they could to overnight me a product, or just anything and everything above and beyond. So great product, and great brand reputation from both of these.
Love it. All right, let's move on to our next story of the day. This comes to us from Residential Tech Today. Samsung has expanded its ultra-large TV lineup with a new 98-inch model. It's a DU9000 and available for only, which actually shocked me, $39.99 and 99 cents US at Samsung.com. It's got a bunch of cool stuff in it, so go check that out, including 4K upscaling, pure color, and HDR, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Joe, let me start with you on this one. Are we throwing out all of the long learned lessons of viewing size, viewing placement, all of these things? Because I would love to say that these 98-inch models are going to be placed in, as screen replacements, projection replacements. But the four of us on this call, even Mitchell knows this, these are going to be placed in master bedrooms.
It's going above the fireplace. Come on. Number one location.
Over the 36-inch fireplace. It's going to be mantle, bezel, picture, bezel.
Ceiling.
Yeah, exactly.
We know this is going to happen.
So you only notice that your house is on level by doing bigger TVs. You know that, right? You only know that your house is not level by doing bigger TVs, because that's an actual straight line when drywall is never, or crown for that matter. That's right. Oh man, because you're right about where these are going to be placed, and we can just actually throw this out there. And the sales spiel should be that you don't know what immersive is like until you watch tennis on this TV from 5 feet away, because you're going to go,
"Don't tell me
this is immersive. This is immersive. I feel like I'm there." No, that your eyes don't work that way. Number one. Number two, the thing is like 8K or like, I mean, okay, now it's 4K. Even so, 4K at that size, that close, you cannot tell that. You won't be able to tell the difference from it in a 720.
No, but close. I can watch tennis like this. It'll be. I'm gonna love it.
You must be watching a high school team, because they go way faster. In the pros,
baseline to baseline, my friend. This isn't pickleball. Baseline to baseline, or like professionals.
Football, in football, you're only going to be able to watch the offense or the defense. You can't watch both. So you pick your team. No, this is going to be a very backwards thing, because bigger is getting cheaper now, right? Technology is getting better. So everybody always wants to go bigger. But at the same time, they're forgetting, especially at a $3,500 price point, Jesus, people are forgetting the fact of how to comfortably view things. Right. Because it's just, I want this big thing on the wall so I can brag to my friends. No, man. Sure. If you have a long barrel room and you're in the kitchen, 40 feet away watching it, cool deal. But it's good and bad. As a media room replacement or like a sport room replacement. Okay, cool. right? You got a lot of distance. But you're right. These things are going to be thrown above fireplaces, and it's actually going to take away from the viewing experience at this point instead of enhancing it, because these are going to be typically put up by like, God, I can't name drop, by those people who are not real integrators and don't understand those things. They drive like orange trucks and vans. Like they're going to be putting these things up, and it's going to take away, right? So I think it's bad. Do I want one? Yeah, kind of I do. But Samsung, feel free to send me one. But the typical installation is actually going to take away from viewing experience, give people a bad taste, and that always follows back to the manufacturer, which is bad. Oh, this Samsung TV sucks. No, you're sitting 5 feet away from it. You suck.
I think the thing that shocks me the most with this one is the price point, because the 98-inch LED LG that we used to sell, at least up here, the cheapest we ever sold it for was like 20 grand. So this is gonna be now. This is still going to be close to 20 grand in Canadian silly money. Because anyways, Seth, how are we going to manage the interior design conversation with affordable sets of this size? Because you and I both know we would fight and go toe to toe with IDs all the time over a 65-inch. How do you manage this conversation?
So I've got a visual thing for this. Just throw in the towel. Because I don't know how we do it. This is insane. Like this is what it's going to come down to the customer, right? And I don't think this is going to be an integrator driving this conversation that insists that you have a 98-inch TV over the fireplace. Like I think that's going to come from the customer who wants that 98-inch TV from Samsung or whatever. Like you're right, all of these TV prices are coming down, and I'm sure Samsung won't be the first or last to have a nearly 100-inch TV in the $4,000 price range. I was already figuring out how to turn them sideways though and make 3 of them next to each other for a 148-inch. Yeah. 170-inch. That'll get you there.
Sarah, get the tape measure.
And see, my thought went to, I can use that in portrait mode in a commercial installation at a much more affordable price. For signage.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Katie, I want to reference another article and kind of combine the two together. This one's from Residential Systems. Leon has updated its FrameBar and its ultra thin line of speakers. This is across the Horizon profile and FrameBar TV speaker series. We know that Leon has really, really adapted this, right? They can build you a frame, build you a media bar, the whole kit, so that when you have this massive TV, it looks much more aesthetically pleasing. Are we going to have to leverage products like this from Leon and anybody else who's playing in this more aesthetic game to be able to have a competent conversation with an ID about how to utilize a 75, an 85, a 98-inch TV in someone's home without it looking atrocious?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to silver lining this one just a little bit, because I think this presents a really good opportunity to go back to the basics of television size, placement, and the challenges that residential environments introduce, that designers, if they haven't already been through that process, haven't experienced what needs to happen in order to get the best viewing experience in addition to the best aesthetic, and that the combination of the two is what happens when integrators and designers meet in the middle and have that magical let's be early and often. So I think it actually gives us an opportunity for those in the integration community that are interested in having positive relationships with interior designers and their clientele, is to start approaching the conversation from larger TV sizes are coming, and here's some of the challenges that interior designers are going to face, and here's how we in the integration community can help solve that. And I think if we get ahead of that conversation, then we start to become a more positive, proactive trade partner. than the ones who are bringing the technology into the room that's huge, ugly, glary. Where the hell are they going to put it? We sort of take the victim role if we don't get in front of this, right? Because we're the ones that are bringing this stuff to them, and their clients want it. And, so I think if we, again, I think the first time I said it, if we get in front of it and turn it into an opportunity, I think we have a really good opportunity to educate those who haven't already been educated and to re-educate those on the necessity to bring in the integrator when displays are being introduced into an environment, either from the beginning or if they're swapping gear out. The more that we involve the designer, the more we're going to get their clientele interested in what we offer and the solutions that we offer versus somebody in an orange truck or some other color truck that we're not talking about.
Yeah, that's a much better answer than mine.
I was going to write it down that was a terrible answer by Seth, but I wasn't
You
going
can
to
put
say
it in the show notes.
No, it wasn't. It made me think of it made me think of how that is. And what Katie said is like, now with something like that, you're going to tell the IDA, can you just build a room around my TV? Which also right? Because the TV is like half size of the whole room. And the other thing is besides the price point, Seth and Matt, you've both been around long enough to remember that when there were TVs this big, usually like had to cut a hole in the wall and load it into the house on a crane.
Reinforce the floor.
This is a huge transition shift. And what Leon's doing, I love. I'm actually going to text Nick right now and say, now we need to make a soundbar for a 98-inch TV. Great. Back to the drawing board with us. Can't they just stick with standard sizes, right? Like what, a 98. Can we go back to 95? Like that's a standard
They've had
size.
a 98 for a while.
They have had a 98 for a while. It's just like somebody making a 43 instead of a 42. What are you doing?
Exactly. All right. Let's hit our last story of the day. This comes to us from CEPro. The Yale approach is a keypad locks that provides a retrofit-friendly option for rental properties. Essentially, it's from Yale Home. It is the back half of a deadbolt as well as a wireless keypad. So if you have a customer who has a deadbolt or a door system with a funky aesthetic, or they're in an MDU where you can't change the physical deadbolt, you can add this onto the back, kind of like you would with an August, and get full control of the lock from a digital standpoint. And you can add a wireless battery operated keypad that you just attach outside and still have keypad control if you'd like. All of those fun things. Seth, start us off with this. Is this kind of like the perfect opportunity for honestly hitting both the, I don't want to say the low end, but like that apartment, MDU, condo living clientele, as well as potentially the ultra high end who has multi-point door lock systems?
Yeah, I wonder. It would be nice to find out if it did work with those multi-point systems. I think the ones we have here typically require like you have to lift up on the lever and turn the lock at the same time. I don't know. They've been problematic forever. Hurricane doors, we need them. But I don't know. This is a great little product. I'm always like standoffish on these things, but it's a great little product, especially around those renters or people who are in MDU that can't exactly change out their doorbell. Like they have to have a key from the front desk or something like that's given to them. These types of products work really well for that. And then they're also just problem solvers. If you have a finish you can't match, and you can slap one of these things on the inside, and it works. It gets the job done.
I like it. Katie, how often is the finish aspect a sticking point for so many homeowners? Because they buy, again, whether they buy a cheap lock set or a incredibly fancy lock set, quite often it is almost impossible, unless you buy the package from Yale or Whitaker or whoever, you can never upgrade anything because it always looks wrong. Does this just, as Seth says, does this just solve those problems?
Coming from the interior design perspective and the design aesthetic perspective, the finish is absolutely critical. But when a decision is made as whether do you want the smart version that comes in the finishes that are available versus going with the finish that you already have selected for the house throughout, if it's that, it's that sort of a build, the decision is going to be made for the finish. The finish is going to win. The aesthetic is going to win 100%. I believe. they've got a lot of options here, and I think that, just based on what I see, I think there's not going to be many that are going to have an issue with what is available here. When the decision comes to that, then I think it's the finish is going to win, and it's not necessarily going to be the smart lock that is the chosen one. But I think that's probably going to be in such a small percentage of it.
It only ever bit me when I was doing more production work, actually, when the builders were signed up with Schlage and we were using Yale locks, and it's like those two finishes don't match up when you look at them. Neither do the key sets, right? So the key won't work from one lock to the other. So that's the only time it ever really came in to bite me. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, I can't put this on my front door because it's black and my hardware is silver from Schlage, but I can put it on the garage door and still get into my house if I lock myself out somehow. So,
did you guys know that it's actually pronounced Schlage?
Nope, I had no idea.
So
just nobody ever wants to go down that vein.
The bigger thing is how they market it is the big thing, right? Because had this been 4 years ago, it'd have been for Airbnbs and Verbos, right? Because, like Katie said, you have finish, you have shape, and then you have modern versus traditional. That's your locks. 3 categories. This fits none. 0. So how do you market it? MDU, that kind of thing, which is huge right now. Single family homes are down. MDU building is up. Locks you don't get to choose your own lock. That's part of the building maintenance plan. So the building maintenance says all 250 units in this building, 500 in the other building, they're all getting this lock. They're all getting, because you don't get to choose those at MDUs. You don't get to choose those at any of that. So for them, marketing wise, great plan. Everybody's got the same lock. Done. Obviously, totally not for residential or luxury residential. These are, it wouldn't go on my house, that's for sure.
So let me ask you a quick question as we wrap up, though. I have an August lock, and this is not necessarily a dig on August, but this is an interesting thing that I've noticed in the 7-8 years I've had this lock. No one knows how to use it, because it doesn't look like a regular lock. Because I have the original.
It looks like a shifter on a Dodge Ram.
It's a big old. It does. It's a massive, what load of laundry are you putting in today?
Yes. Yeah.
Does not something like this lend itself, because it literally just looks like a regular deadbolt that's tall. Is this not something that just opens up a massive market opportunity to anybody who's willing to play at this level in this space?
A huge opportunity. I'm willing to bet that once this got released, everybody, Quickset, Schlage, how do you say it again, Katie?
Schlager. Not Goldschlager.
And if yours is gold, you have a golden Schlager. Yes.
They're never going to sponsor us.
So everybody is taking note of this because of those statistics. Everybody is going to take notice of this because of the statistic I just mentioned. Single family homes are down. Multi-dwelling units are going through the ceiling right now. They're everywhere. They're all going to say, okay, I can sell 1,000 on a single property instead of 5 in this one neighborhood. That's what, the goal is for lock makers, right? It doesn't matter. I mean, that's Yale's golden ticket right there, right? Is how to move more locks. I don't care. I have one fancy one. I want to sell 1 billion ugly ones. And that's the key to it, is to find the market. And right now they did find that market. That's why I said, if this was 5 years ago, that would have been Airbnbs and Verbos. That would have been on every single one, and it'd have been done. Actually, the design cycle, this actually probably was designed for Airbnbs, but it took them so long to put it together that doesn't matter anymore, and MDUs are hot. So, but I guarantee you every manufacturer right now is paying attention to this.
I agree with you. All right, we are going to leave it there because Mitchell's going to cut most of that segment on me. Seth, if people want to connect with you, learn more about Blackwire Design, where can they do that?
You can head over to blackwiredesigns.com and check out what we're doing there. We've got all sorts of product, including AVPro and AudioControl on our website as well. So
look at that tag.
Nice drop.
Joseph, my friend, if people want to connect with you, learn about all the commercial things that you're doing over at Origin Acoustics, where can they find that?
They can always find me on the socials at Real Joe Whitaker, and I like direct emails. You got a question, want something, just email me, joe@originacoustics.com, and you can find us at originacoustics.com and originpro.com.
Excellent. Thank you, my friend. Katye, if people want to connect with you, learn more about everything you're doing over at KMB Communications, where can they find that?
Just follow us on the Sphere. Look for KMB Communications. We're the one with the mountain in our logo. Or you can follow me, Katye McGregor-Bennett, Katye. That's how you know you found me, all over the Sphere. And if you want to reach out directly, I'm KMB at kmbcom with 2ms.com.
Excellent. Thank you again. Thank you for joining us. If you'd like to connect with myself, you can find me on Twitter or X at Matt D. Scott and most other social platforms. But more importantly, please visit AVNation.tv, where you'll find this show as well as a wide variety of other shows with all the verticals that we cover. When you visit the website, please take a moment to check out our supporters. We are extremely thankful for their support and ask that you check them out as well. Thanks again for watching. That's all the time we have for this episode of ResiWeek,
the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.